Welcome back to another episode, my lords, ladies, and gentlemen. Just noticed that my auto cue is slightly off center. Has there ever been a more first world problem? I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure it's a problem. It was just something that I noticed. Welcome. I hope Christmas preparation is going marvelously for you all. You will have noticed that I've become recently obsessed with this particular fidget move. Look at it. Right, let me show you. I can't stop doing it. This is going to be really, it's going to be really bad if you're just listening to it because I'm silent, concentrating. But you basically take a deck, oh, and you try and spin it on your finger, and it's frustratingly addictive. Oh, come on, one more good one, and then we'll carry on with it. Here we go. Right, it's not bad. Anyway, that's what I'm obsessed with at the minute. What are you obsessed with? Hopefully, Christmas preparation. Today will be a bit of a festive, silly one. I'm wearing my festive jumper. It's good, right? It's apt. Yeah. What was the line? Not the only jolly guy in a red suit with a lap worth sitting on. What a guy! But right, so me and Maddie were sat down and we're watching. It was Fat Man, wasn't it? We were watching, and we were kind of joking around that well, he seems to know everything. So does Sherlock, right? And never been one to shy away from a bit of silliness. I think there's something there within the festive period. Like when you look at it, if he's going to have the knowledge, regardless of how he gets it, but if he's going to have the knowledge of being able to determine whether someone sits on the naughty list or the nice list, that might be the most expedient and detailed behavioral profile that exists, right? Think of everything that you would have to be aware of in that moment to understand whether somebody at their core is a naughty person or a nice person, you know? It's one of the great tragedies of life, right? Is it like I like let me paint you a kind of a moral picture. Is it nice to give to a charity that you know where the charitable people won't get a lot of the money that you give to them? Or is it nicer to do things that will contribute to the ender charity's safety? Like, where do you determine that angle? You know, and Santa is aware of all of this. He's arguably the best behavioral profiler in all of mythology. which is a which is a nonsensical term to say the least. But like this is there are traits that he has. I'm like knowing everybody's name and knowing everybody's name and being aware of what they want or what they asked for Christmas. We have that possibility as human beings through paying attention, right? I mean, if you look at the many ways that names are available online now, a moment of research will get you almost any name, and the basics of behavioral profiling will get you likes and interests to purchase. I specifically said that wrong, by the way. To purchase something for the individual in question, you could even look at their likes. You could even look at who they follow. You could even look at their playlists on Spotify and YouTube, right? There are all manner of available entities that go on. But in addition to that, if they are in your kind of friendship circle, your sphere of focus, paying attention, right? If you can't recall any interest that a person might have mentioned, however fleeting, then you don't have access to this kind of mythological awareness. Right, there is a kind of rational debate to be had in that, well, nobody has access towards mythological awareness. What I mean by that is that it's an approximation of a feat of mental magic that Mr. Claus does himself. Oh, I've seen you here, Brent. Welcome, welcome. It was you that popped the question on the other day, wasn't it? On the podcast channel, that my name is in the front part of Chase's book. Yeah. The short version of a long story is we used to work together. Uh, that's it. The business at the time um, crumbled. And I think he's doing all right for himself at the minute, don't you? you know. Um, but yeah, so if that answers your question, Brent, and me and Chase used to work together. How's that? um, but yes, so this is the kind of analogy that we can look to, right? Sherlock isn't a real person. But their skills are accessible as it's the time of year. Santa Claus is real for many youngsters around the world, but in this particular podcast isn't. And so there are feats that he does that we can as well, right? That we can as well. I did a video a few years ago on deducing the contents of Christmas presents. That was pretty fun, and we had a game last year of Secret Santa with some folks from one of my with some folks from one of my groups, and sorry, Brent, I'm obsessing with this. I need to put it down. Have I read any of his books? Uh, Not other than the Ellipsis Manual. No, is the short answer. I haven't. So there we are. Um, where was I? Yes, I did a YouTube video on the deduction of Christmas presents, and then we turned that into an actual game of Secret Santa, where the people in the group we found this app that functions as the kind of digital version of the bag that the names would go into, and everyone from around the world would draw a name and then be sent a present, and so we did that, and the challenge was to not only deduce the present, but to figure out who it was that sent you the gift as well. You could go for or one, as in just the Secret Santa, or just the actual gift itself, or you could go for both. Um, so yeah, that was a fun game. We're playing again this year in the real life Sherlock group, and I might even do that as a live stream. Now we see it. I might even do that as a live stream. Let me update the group as we go and uh, see how that lands. Let's do the call as a live stream. Um, But yeah, so these types of feats, they can be achieved through natural means rather than supernatural means. It just requires use of the same skills that we've been developing from the get-go, right? Um, so like when you are talking to someone, however socially, where's your attention at, right? If it is that you walk past the shop window and it's got uh, coffee in the window. There's a coffee advert on my Facebook page here, for Skull Crusher coffee. And let's say, for example, in this hypothetical store, there is all manner of flasks that are embossed with skulls on. They've got mushroom coffee, flavored coffee. Um, I can't even think of any other ones. You know, a half calf, decaf, a blonde blend. Well, that's not right. A blonde blend. Um, and all the rest of the things, and you're walking past and you're deep in conversation about a Christmas that's coming up, and you're short on money, and cost of living, and you're in your own emotional headspace, and the person that you're walking by just stops and glances for a few extra seconds at the window and turns back to you and says something like, let's get a coffee. And as you're still talking, are you savvy enough, aware enough to pick up on that detail that clearly I've picked it up again. I'm so sorry. Are you savvy enough to make yourself aware of those details that are needed to be able to put those pieces together, right? Where's your attention at? Now, it's not something that you can maintain all day, every day, all year. That we would need to be kind of um, Terminator level computing to be able to do that. And we aren't robots sent back from the future to attack the Connor family. As much as it would be easier, being the robots, obviously, Connor family aside, but all of these feats in terms of names, naughty and nice, and what to get people can be readily achieved through simple acts of directed attention, right? I think it feels like it's in the TV show House, but I'm not pulling it up precisely. Um, it would likely be in the TV show House, but I don't know for sure. When he says gifts give us an opportunity to show just how much we don't know about one another, and that's only because in that scenario, like, I mean, it's probably going to be probably going to be House. Um, but that's only because in that scenario, House is the one with heightened degrees of attention, right? So he sees the world in the way that these fictional characters do, right? That we can get takes a good number of years of work in that area, but it's definitively there to be achieved. There was uh, uh, there was a couple of gifts that came through for me from Maddie, one of which Mr. Bezos had the foresight to put in a see-through packaging, so you could see precisely what it was. But then one came through. Maddie's upstairs doing something, probably getting ready for work or something. I can't exactly remember. And a parcel came through, and I took it at the door, and it had her name on it. So I put it down. Said, "You've got a package." Oh, what is it? Don't know, but it's calendar shaped. Much to her chagrin, because that's precisely what it was. So there's continual opportunities to practice this kind of material all year round, right? Birthdays, Mondays, Christmas, whatever celebration you celebrate in which a gift is being shared, whatever it is, there is an opportunity to practice this kind of deductive prowess. Like when you think about it, if you are receiving a gift from someone that knows you and you want to practice the game of figuring out what it is before you opened it, you don't even have to see it in the initial stage to start the process, because you go over all available information that you have, which might not be that much, might be like years worth, but that's details I can't know. You go over how much information you have that pertains to the person that bought the gift, so you can create a list of suspects in terms of what it is, to be able to whittle down the results. They can only choose from available data, right? You can't account for the possibility of them talking to other people No, but that's where viewing the box and seeing how it's wrapped and, squeezing it where possible and, seeing if it shakes or rattles and makes any noise. The challenging ones for book readers, I mean, everyone's capable of reading books, but if you are an avid book reader, the challenging one is if someone buys you a book, you can go, it's a book, right? That's a very easy deduction, but it's getting to um, precisely what the book title is to be able to figure this out. And uh, I just thought it was um, a fun analogy that Santa and Sherlock could have very similar skills. And like if you look in terms of certainly the Fat Man and the Violent Night depictions in cinema, he's physical enough to know his way around, um, know his way around the details. Oh, hang on. Yeah. I'd forgotten we have a few people in the Secret Santas group that can't be filmed, that can't do things live. So we won't be doing that as a live stream, but we'll be playing all the same. And if I can make any videos out of it where they aren't on camera, then I shall show you in the same way that we did last time. They're available. Um, 1 second. It's entirely unprofessional of me for during a podcast. I don't really like that word anyway, professional. Um, it's just a made up list. Anyway, I thought it was a fun analogy. But like, if you think about it, if Sherlock and Santa got down to a fight, got to give it to my man, Mr. Claus. Got to, right? Sherlock would be cunning and tactical. Um, but it's like a Batman versus Superman fight, but without kryptonite or any kind of kryptonite weaponry or lack of yellow sun. You know, Holmes was written about as being a man of earthly means. Santa is not, regardless of what depiction you look at. I mean, getting around the entire world in one night is going to require a body that can withstand that kind of material. So he's gonna have a lot more endurance than lanky Mr. Holmes anyway. Bonsoir, Pascal. There he is. God love him. So yeah, I mean, like if you think about where you stumble across names, right? The amount of letters that are left out on table names, right? The amount of people that pay by card is slightly diminished, but paying by card names, right? There was a guy at I forget the event. It was that long ago, maybe like 15, 16 years ago, something like that. Kind of when smartphones first started becoming a thing, and we were queuing up at the bar, and all I did was I just glanced over his shoulder, and he was taking a picture of his driving license to send to someone. But I got his first and second name. So there are opportunities all the time if you care to pay attention. In pubs, it was customary for a while. I'm not sure if it is as much anymore because I don't go to pubs. But when I did, it was customary to have the owners' names either above the door on the way in or above the bar to prove that they were allowed to sell alcohol. If you go to doctors or well, I was about to run off a whole list. Anywhere that requires a certificate to demonstrate that somebody is qualified to be able to do what it is that they're doing. And the reason that I didn't do the list is because in my head there was a battle between doctors and everyone else. And then I got down to my daughter's horse riding teacher. I was like, that's just going to be a varied list. So I can cover it more shortly, more succinctly, excuse me. with that analogy in that particular way. So names are everywhere, and we can learn them, and we have more than enough skills to memorize them. So we can start building profiles up of our daily interactions and where we go. That's a good one. Wow. Right? So we can build up this kind of Santa-esque awareness if we need to, and then the mere act of getting somebody something that they want, you can go twofold, which is basically the difference between cold reading and hot reading. Cold reading is going into details and information blind, and hot reading is going in with a bit of things that you already know. So that's an analogy to how long you've known the person that you're buying the gift for, right? The length of conversation that you've had. Like if you think about it, even if we do the Secret Santa group, when we are together, there are a few laughs and jokes and comments shared in between the material that's being spoken about. But like outside of it, we have social media profiles that are clearly connected. You have the fact that you're in a real life Sherlock group anyway, right? So these are pretty big things that can be taken for granted, and skipped over. But to me, a Secret Santa is about getting something funny and slightly, non-politically correct. A kind of a joke by those means, but it's all down to your attention and how much you are paying it, and how much you are maintaining it, right? Like on the flip side of that, my kids have been difficult to buy for this year. Uh, Being 14 and 19, the list of available inferences that I have into things that will please them are shorter and shorter each year, but the ones that are available cost more and more and more and more and more. Right, so if you think about it, like my son is at the time where he's going to be thinking about moving out because he wants to go to university, So yeah, I could be thinking, well, I'll get him a washer, right? He's going to need that, some clothes for when he's going. This is me cold reading the scenario. Bear in mind, before I'm going into it, hot reading would be based on the information that I know about what he's into currently, which are the full list of animes that he follows and watches. We have very similar tastes in movies and music, but he's teaching himself to play the guitar, and he's a drummer like me. So these these are I mean, there's less option to build a sufficient amount of data, because obviously with me being a divorced parent, my time is split, and with him being 19, it's not really cool to socialize with your dad all day, and he's out at work and college and stuff at the minute, so we don't get a lot of time to just hang out. Same for my daughter. I just use Gabe as an example. But this is the process in action. So these seemingly magical skills are well within your reach. There's a great scene in The Mentalist. I was trying to think of the season, and I can't remember the season. It's one of the earlier seasons, maybe one or two, and it's Lisbon's birthday, and yeah, I mean, let's get the rational thing out of the way first. Yes, I get that it is a TV show and it's been written that way. Blah blah blah. I understand all of that, right? But there are analogous kind of demonstrative processes that we can use to achieve the same thing. You know, um, there was the bottle of bubbly that was purchased. There was the spa weekend that was purchased, and there was one other thing that was purchased, and each of the gifts reflected the way that the individual interpreted what Lisbon would want and what Lisbon would enjoy. So that's how Jane could figure it out, and it's like all information; it goes two ways, right? In that, if I I don't know, if I did get Gabe a washer, right, I would be able to demonstrate that I am aware of where he's going, but on the other side of the journey, I'm demonstrating that I don't know that he's not there yet, because it's bloody hell, maybe 9 or 10 months before that comes on the table. Something along those lines. Anyway, I'm not exactly sure of the school timetables off the top of my head, but there we go. I just wanted to enter into that kind of fanciful, funny, not to be taken seriously discussion about Santa Claus as a deductionist, and I think he'd be a phenomenal one. Maybe a little bit dark, maybe a little bit more challenging in certain parts. Good afternoon, board. You're not late. I am early. I'm early. The stream went out early today, so I could make sure that you guys were able to join in if you were around, because I've got meetings coming up for a game I'm building for some of the people that want to play. Can't really say too much more about that yet. Suffice it to say, when it gets to the stage that you can know about it, I'm going to yell about it, because if this comes off, then I've figured out something really quite cool, and I don't toot my horn often, if at all, um, because it doesn't benefit me in any way to do that. But I will say that I've been working quite hard on solving this one. Makes it sound like a case. It's just a puzzle, of what I wanted to do, because it's never been done before, and there are means that I'm trying to keep talking to you about it. I can't. I can't at the minute. I can't. So yeah, that's why I went early. It will just be for today. Um, so yeah, think about it. If you want to have these seemingly mythological skills of awareness that Santa has, even as another iteration of Santa that does this a lot, is in the films with Kurt Russell in on Netflix. What are they called, my love? What's the Kurt Russell Santa Claus films called on Netflix? Is it Christmas Chronicles? No. Christmas Chronicles. Some good examples of knowing things that he really shouldn't know. And there's a great scene in Violent. Well, there's two great scenes in Violent Night. One where Santa is introduced to Trudy, and he mentions the letter that she sent years ago. And then when he's getting tortured by the bad guys, not a spoiler alert because it's in the trailer, um, when he's getting tortured by the bad guys, he's talking about things that they wanted, and letters that they wrote, and actions that they did from years ago. So not only is it down to your awareness, it's also down to your memory capacity and how much information you're capable of storing for a defined period of time to refine your profile. Now I'm imagining Santa and Sherlock in a fight to the death. Santa would have that one. I'm telling you, in every kind of conceivable way, Santa would have that one. If it is that he'd got no fighting skills, by virtue of the fact that he is immortal, he could just stand there and take it until Sherlock was worn out. Done. Sorry, Sherlock, but it's true. Right. Um, so there we go, guys. We'll be back again with another episode next week, um, to continue our festive joy. It won't be as mythological in nature, but if nothing else, that's kind of what we do, is make the seemingly unachievable achievable. And I think that is a nice goal to have within reason. All right, folks, I'm going to love you and leave you. I'll see you next time. All right, guys, take care.